All right, welcome to the Hidden Tracks podcast. I'm Shane Murphy, as always, your host here for this podcast. You can find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you find podcasts, pretty much. If you like what you're hearing, please 5 stars, write a review, let us know what you think. Please also, everybody that I introduce and everyone that we talk about, please go out there, support your local musicians and musicians all around the world. We're in a desperate time right now where a lot of people can't be doing what they want to be doing and should be doing, and try to bring everybody back together. So please, let's do that. You can find us at myhiddentracks.com. At myhiddentracks1 is our Twitter handle. hiddentracks99 is our Instagram and Facebook. And you can send us an email if you'd like at myhiddentracks99@gmail. Today, I'm lucky to be joined by Devan and Khalid from Wild Rivers. They are a Toronto-based pop, indie, folk band, but as I like to say to everyone, to me, it's just awesome music. I don't like to put labels on it, but if you're looking for labels, I guess that's what they could be labeled as, but they could tell me differently. They have a new single out called Pink Shades. Great new song out there, written during this COVID time that we're living in. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Wild Rivers. Devan, Khalid, how are you guys doing today?
Good. Thank you so much for having us. I appreciate your lack of genre labeling, because it's also something that we've really struggled with. So I'm same as you. I think it's a dead thing to be classifying genres.
Every time we go into the studio, we want to make a different kind of song, and like often we have conversations like, "Oh, is this really us?" And then we've done that so many times at this point, and I think with our new stuff we're working on, we're continuing to do that. So we're not. We love all the genres. I'm happy to do an Americana song and then do like a super pop song. So it's a point of pride for us.
Yeah, and honestly, when you're writing a song, you probably don't know what it's going to come out to be like anyway. So sometimes you could get pigeonholed, right? If you try to fall underneath that label of whatever genre someone wants to throw you under. So
definitely, and
yeah, totally. I think.
Go ahead, Dev.
Oh, sorry. No, I think we're probably going to say the same thing, where we, all four of us as a band, have such a wide taste in music, and I think all of our favorite albums of the past couple of years and all of our favorite artists are people who try and combine elements of different genres to kind of create not like a new thing, but just like an interesting thing that kind of brings the songs to life in a different way. So I think we actively kind of try and expand ourselves and just get a little weird with it and see what happens.
Yeah, the songs.
You never know when magic is going to come out.
The songs are the easy part to, like, once you have the songs, it's almost the genre conversation is pretty easy because you can dress it up in so many different ways. So we try to make them good songs to sing just in the room, and then more and more we're doing exactly what Dev said and trying to expand our horizons. And often it's funny, like often we think that something that we're doing that feels new is totally like left field different for us, and then we'll send it to our team and they're like, yeah, no, this is great. It sounds like you guys. It sounds like you're having fun, but it definitely still sounds like you guys. And we expect like a big left turn how we're going to define ourselves.
Yeah, so let me start by asking, how do two, and whoever wants to answer it first, how do two people whose voices go so well together find each other? I mean, it's pretty crazy that your voices, when you sing your harmonies and melodies and singing together, I mean, it's to me, it almost sounds like one voice with different tones because it fits so perfectly together. How do two voices like that find each other?
So Cal and I met in college. We went to a place called Queen's University, which is like 3 hours outside of Toronto, in a place called Kingston. And we weren't studying music or anything like that, but I think we were both kind of looking for creative outlets and people to collaborate with. And we were kind of doing our own thing around campus and just trying to find other musicians. And one day we got introduced by a mutual friend, and we kind of met up under the premise of like, let's just sing together and like see how it goes. Like, I don't think either of us really knew what to expect. Um, I went to Cal's house and we just kind of like picked a couple of our favorite songs at the time and just we were like, let's just sing them. And naturally, I think the first song we sang, we just kind of like naturally started harmonizing and going back and forth and switching off the leads, and it just felt super natural and organic and really good. And then we just kept doing that forever, and now we're still doing it.
Yeah. We mostly got lucky. It was like, I feel like that's like a huge theme in our story with the whole band, is we go into
Mhm.
each chapter wanting to do something, and we start because we started just jamming just for fun and wanting to do it, and we kind of fell into something that was really great. And every addition to the band, in terms of people in the band, in terms of people that have like kind of joined our team, it's it all feels like an accident, like we fall into it. So I guess that's like serendipity, but um that's it's good. It's so far from something like manufactured and something that we had like an exact vision for. So I hope that comes across a little bit, that it just kind of happened.
Organically, the way things start to flow together, you can hear that in music when it's not manufactured and people kind of came together organically. When you guys put out your EP, Songs to Break Up To, which is just fantastic title.
Thank you.
So it's 2020 and you're trying to release music and put out music. What has that been like for you guys?
It's been pretty different. It's been
Devin, you go first. Or,
I'm sure again we'll say the same thing.
that's all
We came from
right.
basically when we recorded that album, we we bought a new band van. We drove to Nashville. We spent 2 weeks there and we recorded that EP. Then we packed up in that van and we drove straight to LA, and we rented a house there for 4 months and wrote and started working on the next thing together. And it was kind of like a big adventure. And we came back from that and went straight into the studio to make our album in New York. So kind of before we knew it, we were like 7 or 8 months in of like just go go go. Everything we do is kind of focused on this next thing. And then we went to this studio in New York and got halfway through a record, and then the world kind of went crazy and we had to drive home. So essentially our 24/7 schedule just got instantly changed into a what do we do with all this time schedule? How do we do what we've been doing? And Dev, you wanna say how we've done 2020? I don't really know how to summarize it.
Well, I think the first few months was really weird because it was when lockdown was the most strict. And since we had been living away from home, none of us really had, like most of us ended up moving back in with our parents. And so we couldn't see each other for quite a while because we obviously COVID just made everything a little bit difficult for a 4-piece band. So the first few months were super weird. I think it was mostly us just writing alone and kind of like sending back and forth some ideas. And then in the summer, when things started to open up a little bit, we were finally able to get some studio time and go back in and record Pink Shades. But the interesting and fun challenge of that is that there's limits on how many people can get together. So we saw it as an opportunity to try something that we've always wanted to do, which is self-producing. And so we basically booked out like a week in a studio, and we just made the whole song all ourselves for the first time, and it was a really really cool experience. So I think what we've taken away from one of the things we've taken away from being in quarantine is just an ability to kind of step back, and like process things a little more, and instead of having to kind of catch up to ourselves, be more intentional with what we're doing and what we want the next projects to sound like, and having more time to kind of execute that and be more particular with like our choices sonically as well, and being able to kind of adjust to the situation and learn new skills and try new things, and kind of adapt in that way. And it's been tough. Obviously, it's been tough, the restrictions of all getting together, but I think it's been really good in other ways, and really really good for us to kind of get out of the craziness of the schedule we were living before for a little bit, and just have a little bit more perspective moving forward.
Yeah, it was good to
Awesome.
take pause, and I think you nailed it, Dev. It's just like we have time to step back and kind of refuel and recharge creatively and be purposeful and think about exactly what we wanted to do, because the nature of what we do is so much of what's next and what's on the horizon. So it feels like in music and outside of music, a lot of people we've talked to have felt the same thing, that there's been obvious difficulties, but it's been a useful exercise to kind of really think about what exactly you want to do, what's important.
Here, here. So I want to start off by asking. I'm going to start with Devan, and then the same question is going to go to you, Khalid. When you're a child and you're growing up, you have all these sing along songs, usually cartoon theme songs or Sesame Street. But then at some point in your life, something changes where you hear what I call maybe more real music. It's no longer Sesame Street sing-alongs or singing, Farrah Jacques in school. You hear a song or you hear some type of music that changes you and says, wow, I need to find out more about this. Dev, do you remember that time in your life?
I think so. I don't know if I remember particularly one moment, but I do remember like a couple really life-changing moments in terms of things that informed my musical tastes, even still today. And I think we've talked about this as a band, and I think we're really lucky to have parents who made music such just like an active part of our lives, whether it be just constantly playing CDs in the house, in the car, just like everywhere we were. My parents would be playing an album, and I think a couple of the most influential ones for me early in life were like James Taylor, Cat Stevens. And then I specifically remember my first CD that my parents ever got me was The Best of the Jackson 5. And that was like my favorite CD that I would literally go into my room and play over and over and over and dance.
It's a great album. It's a great album.
Oh, good.
It's
So
unbelievable.
Good. Yeah. And so I would say those are the strongest things that pop into mind when I think back to my early taste in music. And then I think from there that just made me more curious and want to kind of explore it more on my own as I got older. But yeah, I definitely thank my parents for a lot of my musical upbringing.
For sure. Same.
It's great.
Same boat, same people. For me, it was my parents having Simon and Garfunkel CDs and Elton John and Billy Joel. My favorite was the Beatles one CD, which is all their just number one hits. I can just remember literally every track of 30 track album and some of my favorite songs of all time. So I think for us, it's so much in our DNA, just like really like good singer songwriter music from an early age. But I remember one that it wasn't, I didn't really I don't think I listened to good music until like music that would really inspire me until like university. I think when I was like 19, I listened to Nick Drake for the first time, who has an album called Pink Moon that totally like changed my life, I think, and made me understand what like a true singer songwriter, like being just weaving lyrics that are strong imagery and just super stripped down but heartfelt stuff. That one was really big. the second Bon
Being an
Iver
artist, being an artist.
Exactly, exactly, and having something having something bigger than a song, like having something that sounds small but just really carries like a really heavy emotional weight. Um, I just think that recording is magical. Um, the second Bon Iver album, the self-titled one, totally changed my life on like production and how to paint like a sonic picture. I remember just studying that album, and they all like kind of like turned on different lights in my brain to think about music. And as I think as we get older, we listen to music so much as a fan, but also now that we're working musicians, we're students of the game too. So it's nice to have ones that are intellectually stimulating as well.
That's awesome. So I'm gonna go back to you, Kyle. How or at what point in your life did you realize that this was what you wanted to do, that this was going to be, I love it so much and I appreciate the artistry of others that I kind of want to be that myself? Do you remember a specific moment, or just when you had an epiphany and just said, this is what I'm going to do? Do you remember that, or was there any specific moment?
It wasn't what I always wanted to do. It's as a career. Like it was something that since I was like 5 years old, I loved and I thought I was good at, and I understood, but I didn't. No one in my family is a musician, and no one. I was also like very into sports and academic, and like had a lot of different other parts of my life that like I felt like I was just a regular kid in a lot of ways. And I went to school for biology, and um, Dev went to school for psychology, and it was something that we weren't on the track to do it. But I think for me, it was always in the like a little dream in the back of my mind. But I never. It wasn't until late into me and Dev playing music together in college that we were like, we kind of looked around after we'd been working for a couple of years and had this, why don't we do this, like where we see what it can be. And I think it seemed a little more viable and real once we saw that we could like build fans and record an album. Like this isn't, we didn't have a ton of friends who were doing it. We didn't have like a roadmap on exactly how to do it. So I think that was the big barrier. But we decided to take a leap of faith because we saw like a path that it could be successful.
Well, I'm glad you did. Devan, is that kind of the way you look at it too, or did you have different aspirations when you were feeling about music?
For me, it was something that I said I was going to do since I was like 4 years old. Like it was just like it was kind of like the only thing I ever wanted to do and ever talked about. But then when I graduated high school and I was like, my parents were like, what are you going to do now? I was like, I'm going to be a singer. And they were like, how are you going to do that? And it's such a vague career. And like Cal said, I didn't know anybody who was doing it. So I really had no reference for how to even get into it. So I kind of, my parents were pretty much like, we support you and we believe in you, but like you don't really have a plan. So why don't you try going to university and just see what happens? And I was pretty resentful of it. I didn't want to go, which sounds very ungrateful. And I'm so grateful now because I had a great time and I met Cal, and like by meeting each other, I think that is what made us realize it was possible. And by having each other to like lean on and go through it together and figure it out as on the fly as we went, that is what really gave us the confidence to get on a real path and feel like we were actually making steps. So yeah, so looking back, I'm super grateful for the whole experience, and I'm glad my parents made me go to college.
Serendipity.
It's those little things you don't realize that your parents are, no matter how old you get, your parents are always your parents. And I hate to admit it here and it be recorded, but they were pretty much right about everything.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes down to when you guys start to write, and I mean, the pandemic was a whole different situation, but when you guys decided to make a go of it and you decided to put together an album, did you guys had something just the two of you prior to becoming Wild Rivers, right? Am I right in that, or?
Yeah, so we started so when we were in college together, that was before we met the rest of the band, and we were just a duo. And we were named Devan and Khalid. Super original.
Great name.
Yeah,
Great name.
yeah.
Great name.
Can't miss it. Because pretty much we started out playing covers at like local bars and open mics, so we didn't really think there was a need for a name because we were just kind of like doing it for fun at the beginning. And then we started building a fan base, and then we started taking it more seriously and playing as much as we could. Recorded our first EP, and when we released it, I think the reception of it, even though it was on such a small scale, like it was mostly our university friends and people in the small town that were listening, that is, it felt like we had actually done something that was real. We were like, oh, we're real musicians now. Let's take this seriously and let's bring this to the next level.
So when you decided to take it to the next level and you decided to bring in other people and sit down and write, how did that writing process start, as a band? Khalid, do you bring songs, and Devan, do you bring songs, or is it a collaborative effort, or everybody has, here's a melody, let's see if we can build off of this? What's your songwriting process? How intricate or how simple does it work?
It's kind of evolved over time. I think initially, like when we first made that EP with Dev and I had just written a couple songs in my dorm room at in college, and then we kind of produced it together and built these songs, and then we worked on the album. And by that point, Dev and I had been playing together for a while, so when we started the album, it was still just us two. So we co-wrote a couple songs on that album and started to write songs from scratch together. And then as we did that album, the band kind of slowly formed again, serendipitously, because we practically had to play some of these songs live. And we had to have a drummer, and we had to just build out a bigger sound than the acoustic duo. So we really didn't become a full band until really the tail end of that album. And then since then, it turned into a different thing, that it's a band project. So I'm still bringing a bunch of my own songs into it, but we're also co-writing between Dev and I, co-writing with the whole band, just like really learning how to songwrite in a co-writing setting, and doing things like going down to Nashville and going into writing sessions with like professional writers, which taught us a ton too. So that's something that we do now and continue to do. So now we're at the point where we've all been in it creatively for so long, and even if I write a song, we bring it to the band and we produce it together, and we tweak lyrics together. We start songs from scratch together. We start songs from a sound, like a sonic thing together. We're kind of now we're at the point where it's like, if we get a good song out of it, we can come at it at any way. So it's, I think individually and collectively, we've all developed as creatives, and I hope that it shows, and it helps us, and it helps us feel like we're not just pigeonholed into singer-songwriter, acoustic, crying in the bedroom. Like we can do it a couple different ways. But we still do cry in the bedroom too.
To me, it's not
tried and true method.
Yeah, I mean, with a title like "Songs to Break Up To," I mean, you would think that that's what you're going to be doing, is sitting in your bedroom crying, thinking about it.
Emo.
But the album doesn't come off that way. The EP doesn't sound that way. I think every song has a little bit of a different twist for it and a little different sonic sound to it. And especially with your new single, Pink Shades, I mean, it's to me, it again, it just goes somewhere completely different that you may not be expecting from you guys. And at the end of the song, it's just like, that was fucking awesome. Like,
thank you.
I didn't expect that, and that was great.
Yeah, we're just trying to we were so motivated and inspired to. I think we've always had like a bit of a chip on our shoulder as like we were an independent band for a long time. So like the idea of like producing something ourselves and like going crazy on like the bridge in our new song, we went deep down the rabbit hole because we were just left to our own devices with as much time as we want to get weird. And we took a lot of pride and got excited that like this sounds freaking bonkers. Like this is like we might have to dial this back because I don't think it's ever making it out. But it's something that motivates us. It's fun to challenge ourselves, and we always want to like, I guess in anything you want to go too far and then pull it back. That's the only way you grow.
Agreed. So let's get a little crazy here. Devan, if somebody were to grab your iPod or your playlists, iPod, I don't know, I'm fucking dating myself now, iPod.
I'm down for iPod. I feel like I would love to look at my old iPod playlist.
what would embarrass you that somebody would find in there?
I am a strong believer in no such thing as guilty pleasures.
I agree. You can own it, but there's got to be something where you would just be like, yeah, I don't think anybody knows I listen to this.
Well, I mean, I guess if you just knew me as the singer of a folk band, then you probably wouldn't expect how much like straight down the line pop, like Justin Bieber, kind of Ariana Grande I listen to. I'm like a huge fan of that stuff. But otherwise, I feel like I'm probably pretty predictable. We all kind of diverge on certain influences and like certain musical tastes, but I think for the most part, we're pretty what you would expect. Like I love Phoebe Bridgers. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of the old like the 90s David Gray album. That's a huge one for me these days.
He's amazing. Sell. I got turned on to that back in the 90s when it came out by my sister, and I was just like, who's this magical man from England that I've never heard of? Because he was just brilliant.
Oh, he's incredible. I feel like he was just so like listening now compared to when I first heard it when I was a kid. It's just so cool, the production choices that he made and how modern it was, given it was like just so different from everything else that was coming out in the 90s. So it's really great. What else is my guilty pleasure? I feel like when I work out, I listen to pretty like intense electronic dance music. So that's definitely a left field one, I think, for most people, but it pumps me up.
Yeah, and it gets you moving. It gets you moving. You move to that beat.
Oh yeah.
Khalid, what do you have that you would think people would be a little bit, look at you differently and be like, wow, I never thought he would listen to this?
Probably a lot. Like I'm kind of same with Deb, that there's a lot of shameless stuff. I listen to a lot of Drake. I love Drake, but that just because I'm a young man from Toronto, I feel like that's pretty predictable. Like that's always my workout playlist, and I like just like
don't they hand that to you when you walk into a store? Here's the new Drake album.
Yeah,
exactly. And we were
it comes with your passport.
I'm a strong proponent of Drake, but I never listened to cool music growing up. Like I never had that friend who like introduced me to like freaking Neutral Milk Hotel when I was like 14. I just listened to like, I love Sublime. I guess that's not necessary. I feel like Sublime has aged kind of poorly. Like people don't think Sublime is cool at all. I think Sublime is freaking cool. I love Third Eye Blind. I think they're like one of the most underrated bands, and people definitely don't think they're cool. But I listened to a bunch of them earlier this year, and it's like,
So
wow, these are like
so
awesome songs.
yeah, I'll give you a little bit. So I have a category on the show. It's called overrated, underrated,
Love
and
it.
it's a band that is overrated for their popular stuff and underrated for the stuff that nobody listened to. And my first band in that category
Yep,
that I
right, that's
use as a reference when I try to get people to understand is Third Eye Blind. Like, you may have heard the songs that are on the radio, and I tell everyone, if I'll make you that same CD and take those songs off of it, and you will have a newfound respect for the band,
totally.
because they were overrated for the easy shit and underrated for all the great hard shit that they made.
We saw them at a festival.
I gotta
that-
listen. I shamefully never did.
I think they get a the lead singer is apparently kind of a jerk too, so I think they get a bad rep for a good reason. But I don't know if you're at this festival, Dev, but they played, and uh it was just like a bunch of our college friends there, and everybody's waiting for like Semi Charmed Life and stuff. I don't think they played it live, which I kind of loved. And some of their deep cuts just I was euphoric. It instantly took me back, and it's just singing every word in a crowd where nobody knew the words, because it was like kind of like a standard like indie music festival where there was some hate on it, but yeah, they were one of my favorites.
That's great. So that'll lead into Dev. Do you have, since we can throw that Third Eye Blind to that overrated, underrated, do you have something that you consider that was overrated for the stuff that was on the radio, and strictly and wholly underrated for stuff that people, especially in today's world where you can buy one song at a time, that people didn't maybe hear the whole album or don't get enough credit?
I feel like maybe I think a current example, although actually I think all of her stuff is amazing, but I think Billie Eilish's like radio singles are, maybe it's just because they're drilled into the ground, but I think her album cuts for me are amazing and kind of the most artistic and heartfelt. In more classic examples, I would say Coldplay. I love, that's like, Coldplay is my favorite band, and I even do love the radio songs, but I always like the album cuts better. So I think that would probably be my what comes to mind.
Khalid, do you have anything else that would
For
constitute for you that you think was overrated and underrated? I mean, you threw out two, which was
so,
Sublime and
so
then Third
over
Eye.
is the category, they're overrated in some senses but underrated in other. Is that the summary of
Yes.
the category? Um,
Yes, that's a summary.
I'm looking through my iTunes right now. Um, one that just popped up is Father John Misty. That I feel like he's like he's gotten bigger every album, but I guess a lot of artists I like a lot of artists you tend to like their earlier stuff more than their later stuff, but I feel like he's slowly lost me um musically, and now some of his big songs are like they're probably the peak of his popularity. Oh, here's a good example. This one's kind of savage for Canadian artists. Arcade Fire, their recent album, I was just not into it at all. I thought it was garbage. But some of their but it spawned their biggest radio single ever. So they probably reached a whole new audience, but I feel like all the people passively listening on AAA radio kind of missed. I hope they didn't miss like The Suburbs and Neon Bible and all these incredible works of art.
All right. Cool.
You got
Good answer. Yeah, and I
I'm
think
gonna
when it
witch
comes to
hunt
like
now. Start making some enemies.
that's all right. I'll put you on blast and make sure we put it all over social media exactly what you said.
Wild
Um,
River State's Arcade Fire.
but yeah, I won't do that. I I think you take ownership too when it comes to like artists' earlier stuff. Probably when you found them and heard them, probably take a little ownership of it because it might not have been the most popular thing to listen to. So when someone does get popular, you get a little angry at them for it, even though you should be like, wow, that's awesome. They're reaching a broader audience. But you also at the same time are like, wow, I really wish they just stayed mine.
I can't wait till we
Totally.
hear fans start
I
to say
felt
that. I've been waiting for our fans to be like, I miss the old style Christmas. And we've never got that. They're so supportive.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. I saw Noah Kahan tweeted the other day being like, please stop calling me the best hidden secret. Like, I don't want to be a secret. Please tell everyone about me.
That's what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get people to find out about different music. That's why I'm talking to anyone and everyone, and I'm talking to fans too. I'm doing podcasts with fans of music so we can get all this other music that's out there because there's so much of it. And you're one of those bands that, I shoot back and forth to people and say, hey, check this out, check this out. And I just start shooting stuff to people, and I'm trying to reach a broader audience and get all this stuff because I want to overpower some of the stuff that's out there that I feel isn't worthy, where I don't think artistry comes into it, where I think you guys in writing and producing and coming up with your music, it's true artistry, and you're not being manufactured in a bubblegum factory to be a certain way and taste a certain way. And I just really hope that, in what we're doing here, we're going to get bands like yourself more recognized for the true talent and artists that you are.
Thank you. You're fighting the good fight.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. Yeah.
Are there artists that for you that you've had examples of like people that were like your little secret that have become big, and there's maybe a little resentment or maybe like, oh, I miss the good old days when they were just my thing?
Oh yeah, I mean, I have tons of them. I have such a wide eclectic range of music that, I mean, from in the '90s and seeing bands like Jimmy Eat World in a firehouse or the skating rink by my house, and then to them playing the Barclays Arena. To me, it was like, yeah, this is great, but I'm also not happy. Same thing. The most recent one has probably been Churches. Churches, I took ownership of them when the first EP dropped. I was like, this is amazing. Like, I'm not really even into this kind of stuff, but I can't deny it. It's so good. And then I started passing around to people, and then I, had to go see him at Radio City Music Hall. And it was a little resentment, but I still, I'm like, well, it's no longer my thing, but it is good that it becomes other people's things too.
Totally.
Because it's good for the artists like you guys.
I guess just as a fan, you want to see your favorite artist in a more intimate venue and see them where it's nice to have something that you don't have to share with a stadium sometimes.
Yeah, I don't like large shows. I don't.
Me neither.
And I mean, when I say it, like a smaller show, like the Bowery Ballroom in New York City is my favorite venue in the entire world. It's my favorite music venue. It holds 700 people, but it's one of those places where I feel that everybody that's there is there to see who they're there to see. So you're all one group. When you go to those larger arenas, a lot of people are just going to go. You have the people in the front row that were handed tickets, by somebody else and said, here, go take your wife to a show, and not really there for the music.
Yeah, totally.
So when the world starts to get back to normal, what are your guys, do you have any plans moving forward? Did you have like a tour or anything planned prior to the shutdown to, go with the album, the EP that you put out? Or was it just working on music and then recording an album and then you were going to tour afterwards? Or what did you have before, and what do you have planned for when hopefully we get back to some sense of normalcy?
Yeah, we had touring plans for pretty much the whole year, actually, following the EP release. And our agents are being absolute champions and continuing to reschedule them over and over, because I think everyone is just so excited for when we can get back out there as soon as it's safe. So we're going to finish our album that we started. It looks like mostly remotely, and we might when it's okay to cross the border again, just go back and add the finishing touches, and then hopefully by the time that's done, like we can get rehearsing for tour again, and yeah, ideally we spend as long as possible on the road once this all clears up, because we would love
We
to play live again.
Our timing wasn't like, we timed it weirdly in that we recorded two things before the lockdown, so we hadn't, even before the lockdown, we hadn't played a real show in like 5 or 6 months. So we were geared up and ready to go and had like our biggest tour yet, like sold out a bunch of venues. So understandably, we were a little bit bummed, but yeah, they keep on rescheduling. So we're ready to hit the ground running. We've got this, we got our whole touring rig, we got a new van, we got all ready. So we ended up doing we're doing this virtual concert. I know everybody's doing these live stream concerts, but we really wanted to up the production value of our show, so we hired a director and lights and more instruments than we've ever played on stage, and tried to do it as big as possible because we had the time and the resources to just put everything into one show. So I think November 18th, we're basically putting on the show. We're playing all the EP songs and putting on the show we would have put on this tour. So we're excited for like a little taste of live music.
And for that live stream, you guys are donating to uh, something that's near and dear to my life. If you want to talk about that, leave it up to you guys to talk about who the donations are for.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We
So we are.
You go, Dev.
Sorry, I think there's a little bit of lag between us. It's all good. Yeah, we're partnering with two organizations, one based in Canada and one based in the US. And the American company organization's called Bring Change to Mind, and the Canadian is jack.org. And both of the organizations basically have a mission to end the stigma surrounding mental illness and find ways to promote healthy and accessible conversations surrounding mental health in general. So yeah, they both are just incredible organizations with really cool initiatives, and they often collaborate with the entertainments and the arts. And so we're really happy to have them on board for this.
Especially because right now, like everybody, we felt the COVID blues. I think everybody is feeling down and not checking in on themselves, especially as winter's coming. So it's been kind of an issue that's been close to our hearts, because a lot of what we do when we play shows is about people coming together and people feeling good and accepting everybody. Like that's I think the most rewarding part about playing live. So it felt like the right time to kind of check in on everybody and kind of let people know that like we struggle with mental health issues, that we want to like stand in solidarity with people. Our latest song, Pink Shades, is a lot of it is about trying to help someone through a bout with depression and trying to understand that. So it felt like it fit as well. Like I think the specific cause for both of these organizations is mostly awareness, and it's mostly just talking about it. And I feel we feel like there's such a big cultural shift in the last like 2 years, even, where like athletes and musicians and celebrities are coming out talking about mental health struggles, and we've never really seen that before, especially with men too, like are that are encouraged not to talk about stuff by society. So breaking the stigma is kind of the mission, and we're happy that we can do something for a good cause at what we think is an important time.
Well, I thank you for doing it. It is a big part of society, and there is a lot of things that affect a lot of people differently. I also feel that what you do with music affects people and helps people along, and whether or not it's a song that you're not sure if you were supposed to record it or write it or how you feel about it. I'd like to tell you both of you as artists that everything that you put out will touch people differently in a different way. And just know that it doesn't, if it's not your favorite song that you recorded, it's somebody else's favorite song that's out there listening to it, because it could have hit them at a different time when they needed it more than anything else. So as an artist and person on the other side of this microphone who listens to this stuff, I want to say thank you for writing those types of songs and for bringing to light some things that basically need to have the stigma removed off of it.
That's the best kind of validation. So thank you for that. Sometimes it feels like we're, especially now when we're releasing music, we're throwing it into the abyss of the internet a little bit. So it's nice to talk to a real person who listens and appreciates it.
So let's get to some fun stuff now. I don't want to keep you guys too long, so we're going to end this here shortly. But before we do, I'm going to start with Devan. I end every episode. It's called our Weekly Threes. It's 3 things that we're listening to right now. It could be new, it could be old. Just 3 things you're listening to that you don't mind sharing with people, and you may like people to hear that they may not have, or they already have and need to go back and check it out. It's one of those things that I used to have the category just in case you forgot about a band, how good they were. But whatever you're listening to right now, Devan, go.
Love it. Okay. I was just in my car listening to Blonded by Frank Ocean because today is his birthday. So, I mean, everyone's probably heard of that one, but that's just the freshest thing in my memory. Another artist I've been really into lately, her name is Ryann, Ryann. And she just put out an EP called Emotions on Roller Skates, and it is the best songwriting and production that I've heard in a really long time. And another one that another artist I discovered recently that also kind of like shifted my world was a girl named Olivia Dean. She's British, and she really reminds me of kind of a mixture of Amy Winehouse with like, I guess like elements of Amy Winehouse, but a little bit more upbeat. And like really amazing production, really cool drums, and such good songwriting. And yeah, those would be my top 3 right now.
Awesome. Cal, what are your top 3 right now that you're listening to?
I'm kind of all over the place. I've been on a big 80s kick. I'm a pretty big 80s fan, and some of these albums are so freaking bonkers and weird that I'm really diving deep into the production. This one Genesis album, Invisible Touch, I love it. I love it so much. And I just listen on headphones and hear these massive like like crazy sounds, and like I applaud the musical ambition of the 80s. I'm pretty into right now. I also have this new singer-songwriter from Toronto. Their name's Leith Ross. They made a song. They just released an album. It's called Motherwell, but the single from it is called Everyone I've Never Met. And I didn't even know that they're from Toronto. And it was one of those Spotify plays the next song. And I had to like take my headphones out and look like, who the hell wrote this song? Like, it's so, so good. So they're great, Leith Ross. And I got Bahamas, another great Canadian. His new album, Sad Hunk, is just so funny and funky and great. He never misses. I think he's one of our country's greatest artists.
Awesome. Good 3. Now's my turn for my 3 that I'm listening to right now. I have NQ Arbuckle.
Oh yeah.
Canadian alt rock band, if you want to call it. As again, I just call it music. Amazing music. Great songs. Great voice. Powerful lyrics as well. Next, I have Overwhelming Color Fast. They were a pop punk band out of California, early 90s. Didn't get a lot of play, but Robert Reed's voice and the music, absolutely awesome. I try to get people to listen to them. So if you can, Overwhelming Color Fast. And my last but not least, Anna's Anchor. It's a rock band out of Ireland. It's just some awesome, amazing music to check in on, listen to. Anna's Anchor. Highly recommend if you want to hear some good music from across the pond to check it out.
Awesome.
Cool.
I've saved it. I'll listen to it later on.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So let's, whoever wants to go, Devan or Cal, tell everybody how to find you, how to find your music, how to look at everything new that you got coming up and coming out. Now's your time. Let's get it out there for everyone to hear.
All right. So you can find us on Spotify, we're Wild Rivers. Everywhere you listen to music, Wild Rivers. And then social media. Instagram is at Wild Rivers Music. Twitter is at Wild Rivers. And you can sign up for our mailing list and go to our website and read all about us. Pretty much everywhere. Yeah, and I think the main thing to look out for is our Live from Lockdown performance, which will be airing on November 18th. And we're really excited about that coming up in the near future.
Awesome.
Google it.
So, Dev, you use that machine. Dev, Cal, thank you both so much for being here. It means a lot to me for you guys to take the time, talk about your journey and everything that you guys are doing now. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the artistry that you bring forth. And I just want to say thank you very much for being here this week.
Thanks, Shane.
Thanks so much for having us. This is really great.
Thanks. We got a full iPod to listen to now.
Great. So everyone out there, as I always end this, please go out and have a great time.